Welcome to B2B with Randy and Craig, where we speak to local entrepreneurs and learn about their journey.
Okay, so I guess this is one of those things where we can stop.
Yeah, well, we never do. This is like the third time ever,
right?
but that's okay. All right, give it to me again. Sorry. Okay. Welcome to B2B with Randy and Craig, where we discuss the rise, the falls,
and the kick and the...
No. We're not doing that. It's a family show, I tell you every week. Hey, I'm Randy.
I'm Craig from That's a Wrap Productions.
And we're here with Adam Goldschmidt of EOS. Got to ask you a question.
Why business coaching?
I've been coaching my whole life, honestly. Everything I've done, everything that I've been good at in my life, all of my unique abilities, I've always been able to really explain and teach other people how to do it.
So whether it be sports with the kids, whether it be
coached Little League for my son for years. I'm coaching again, coached hockey. I coach people in my businesses.
You ever coach wrestling?
No, never coached wrestling. I tried to stay away from that one.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Hey, what's that supposed to mean?
I have no idea.
We'll just say. Anyways, go ahead. So all that passion for education led you to...
Yeah, I've always been passionate about learning. I've always been passionate about growing and helping people grow, helping people in their businesses, helping people with any challenge. It's just part of my fabric and my nature. And when I discovered EOS and I saw what it did for my business and how I was able to learn and apply those to my life, I went like, I want to share this with everybody else.
So first I have to ask you, what does EOS stand for?
EOS stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which sounds like way fancier than it is.
Okay.
It's still fancy. No, it's really not.
No, it's very fancy.
No, but you think about
you're very fancy, by the
thank
way.
you. Yeah. That's the jeans and all that stuff.
No, those kicks.
The kicks, right. So think about your phone, right? Your phone, iPhone has iOS, your operating system for your phone. It helps the technology sync up, coordinate, harmonizes everything, all your apps work together, all that stuff. So the Entrepreneurial Operating System is a framework. It's a set of tools that allow you to harness the human energy in your business and make sure that they're all synced up with each other, harmonized, growing the business. We say that it really gets you good at three things: vision, traction, healthy.
Say that one more time.
Vision, traction, healthy.
Love it.
Vision in the sense that you get in clarity on like, who are we as a business? Where are we going? What is it going to take to get there?
Right.
The traction element is, okay, it's nice to have a dream. Let's make it happen.
Right.
Let's execute. Let's be disciplined. Let's have the right structure. Let's be accountable
Right.
to make sure that this vision actually isn't a hallucination. And then there's the healthy part of it where we want to have fun. We want to enjoy the ride.
Right.
We want a fun-loving, cohesive team. Everyone supports their roles and supports each other and really, really just enjoys showing up to work.
So you're like an entrepreneur to entrepreneurs.
I'm an entrepreneur to entrepreneurs. I like to, bring a lot of the context of the things I've gone through in my life to the table and share those stories and those anecdotes.
Love it.
So before you were an implementer of EOS, what was your official title?
So I was in tech for about 20 years. Before that, I ran e-commerce agencies. So do I. Somebody asked me a question actually, but I'm like, I don't do that anymore. Like, that's not,
Ask me.
my
Ask
thing
my
anymore.
daughter.
Yeah. It's funny actually because Entrepreneurial Operating System, people hear it and they think it's technology.
Right.
So when I actually made the move, people are like, oh, this is just a new piece of software. I'm like, no, totally different. But I ran e-commerce agencies, digital agencies. I was, COO operations, various roles in those organizations in leadership for years. And in my last stop, I took over a practice that was kind of falling apart for a little while, and I had to come in and figure some things out. And I spent about 2 years not figuring things out.
Right.
And then EOS was introduced actually to the corporate organization, to everybody, all the businesses. We had to bring it into our teams.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I got nothing else going on. I may as well learn these tools. And it changed everything. Like literally, this business was losing millions of dollars, and we just flipped it on its head.
So it's not a question of just learning the system. It's a question of executing it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want a company to think that, hey, look, you come in, you're a magic wand, and we're ready to hit
No. And it's funny because a lot of people would paint me with the brush of being a consultant. Right. A consultant comes in and they tell you, based on the experience running certain businesses, this is what you should do. I don't tell anybody what to do. I have three roles as an implementer, really. I'm a teacher, I'm a facilitator, and I'm a coach. Right. So the teaching element, EOS is a simple, comprehensive, full set of tools. Very, very simple. It's stuff that's been around for hundreds of years. It's going to be around for thousands more. My job is to simplify that, teach those tools to the business owners so that they know how it applies to their business on a day-to-day basis. Then I have to facilitate the use of those tools. I'm going to help them use them the right way. I'm going to ask them the right questions to get the answers out of their heads because they do have them.
They just don't know where.
They just don't have the framework.
Right.
And then there's the coach element where I'm there to inspire them and push them and help them think a little bit differently about what they're capable of.
Was there an aha moment for you while you were working in technology that made you say, I want to make this transition?
Aside from when my friend said I should do this.
Yeah.
It's funny, like in the summer of 2022, I was in a period where we were growing the business consistently, trying to almost double it every year. And to do that for a few years in a row was really, really tough. I was in a moment of frustration. I was seeing that certain things weren't happening the way that I planned. So a good friend of mine named Tzvi, I know him since I'm 10. He's been an implementer for 4 or 5 more years more than I have. So he started as an implementer right when I was starting to implement it into my business.
Wow.
I wanted to hire him, wasn't allowed to. That's a different story in and of itself.
Right.
But he was a mentor to me. He's a friend that I would call over if I ever had a challenge. He'd help me like process it. He was my coach to a degree. And one night, in a moment of frustration, I said, I feel like I'm not the visionary anymore. I feel like I'm an implementer. It's like, it's a funny thing you mentioned that. You should really think about doing this.
But you know what's interesting? Because you said earlier, we talked about IT, you don't love tech. So this now is also giving you more of a sense of accomplishment, I would guess, is a very important part of being an entrepreneur. What gets you excited?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm doing what I'm paid to do, like in the session room with my clients, running these meetings with the leadership teams, I'm not working. Like
you're loving it.
I'm just being me. I literally just get to show up as my best self. I can wear whatever the heck I want. I can say whatever the heck I want. You know, I get to obviously gauge the crowd. There's some crowds that like some F-bombs, some don't like the F-bombs, you know?
Right.
Well, on this show, we don't like the F-bombs
No
because
F-bombs.
radio.
Hell
So
no.
no F-bombs.
Is that okay?
Yes, hell
you can do
no.
that.
All right, fine, that's fine. I have a funny story about that, but I can't tell it on the radio.
No,
now,
we'll
so I
talk
forgot
off air, you'll tell
Off air,
us.
we'll tell you that one. But where was I going with that? We were talking about...
We were talking about your journey. We were talking about sense of accomplishment.
Oh, yeah. So I really don't feel like I'm like literally just in this elevated state. I can't explain it any other way.
But that's when you've hit it.
Yeah,
when you're doing
exactly.
something that you're not working. What a dream that is.
Dan Sullivan calls it your unique ability, and I think that I've really found that. And it's something that I've always applied in the way I ran my agencies. When I say I didn't love tech, it's not that I didn't love tech. I love the business, right? I love the elements of helping the clients, especially, and being on the court with them and having a vision and helping them see that to fruition. So in a way, like I'm kind of doing the same thing now as I was doing then. I'm helping entrepreneurs.
When you're deeper into business.
It's a different set of tools. It's a different way of thinking, and it makes it all worth it.
Where does a company need to be in their journey? So it's just so I understand, am I a concept when I bring you in? If I've been up and running and I'm doing $250,000, or do I need to be doing $5 million to be the right timing?
Yeah, so I typically, I like to say that we help organizations that have already succeeded despite themselves. So usually it's between that 10 to 250 employee threshold is where we kind of make the biggest impact. There's obviously exceptions to the rules. There's plenty of companies that can start with EOS as a startup, 1 or 2 people in the business. If they obviously are eventually going to bring people in, they want to build the right framework. They want to do it right from the beginning. So it can help. Again, they're not necessarily at that stage in the journey where they have the chaos and they have the pain where they do bring us in yet at that point in time. And you get to like 10 people, that's where things start to get a little bit more complicated. And once you've gone above that 250 threshold, again, I work with clients that are bigger than that. I used it in my business, and the parent company was much bigger than that. So you can apply it. It's just that you've figured out a lot of these things already. If you've gotten to that point, you kind of have structure in place already. You have processes.
But it may not be the right structure. It may not be the right process.
Correct. And by the way, sometimes you're doing all these corporate things that you think, oh, we've got it all figured out. And then you realize behind the scenes, like there's like a ton of culture issues. There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on under the surface. So a lot of these businesses say, you know what? We want to simplify things. We want to bring it back a little bit. I don't need to have a 35-page, business plan. Let me simplify it into 2 pages.
Got it.
So that people can understand it and we can figure out what we're trying to accomplish together.
So if a company is, I'm just making up, if a company's at the 2 million mark, a company's at the million mark, and they can't get over the hump, and they can't get over the hump, not that they don't have the product or services, they don't have the infrastructure properly, they don't know how. Just because you're a great baker doesn't mean that you know how to run a great business. You could be doing phenomenal. A guy like you is going to come in there, and you're going to take that $1 million, you're going to help them build that infrastructure, make sure they have the right people in the right seats.
That's right. You want to run a self-policing business or a self-managing business. That's what everybody ultimately wants, right? We call it the EOS life. It's 5 things. It's doing what you love with the people you love, making huge impact, being compensated appropriately, right? We all want that.
Yeah.
With time to pursue other passions, right? So
Story of my life. Right?
If you're working 18, 20-hour days and you're in every seat, you're making every decision, you're taking on all the pressure, all the burdens, you don't get to enjoy all that other stuff. Like we work to live, we don't live to work. Right. So that's really what motivates me, is because I want people to enjoy this ride.
I had said on a show earlier that people say, a salesman says, I have to go here, I have to go there. No, you get to go here.
Right.
You get to go there.
Correct.
That's the culture you want in mind. I'm hungry.
Gino Wickman, obviously, he wrote the book Traction. He's a big influence on the way that I think about things. Dan Sullivan, strategic coach as well. You know, and we talk about operating, they both of them talk a lot about operating out of a place of love versus fear, or operating out of a place of want versus need.
Right.
Right? Like, I want a business owner to feel like we're doing whatever the heck we want to do.
Right.
We get to chart our own course. Nobody gets to determine for me. That's why a lot of times when we work with, you know, companies at PE investment or VC funds, sometimes it doesn't work so well because they don't necessarily get to call all the shots about the strategy and the direction, do whatever they want to do. So when you have that privately held business, when you have that entrepreneur who's really more disturbed by the status quo than the change, that's where we can really do
that
magic
you
stuff.
rock and roll
Now,
with that.
now I'm known as the undisputed cinematography champion of the world, right?
You wear that belt around a little bit.
Yeah,
I think.
it's it's with me.
It was weird seeing you in the lobby without it.
No,
You didn't even know who the heck he was.
Like, who is this guy?
now that's my shtick, as Randy likes to say. Now, does your EOS implementation, do you have a motto or catchphrase or something that you say a lot that gets the process?
I had so many jokes I could say.
There's a lot of things that I say a lot.
Go.
Yeah, there's a few things, right? Like that vision, traction, healthy thing. That's like the quick little, you know, like the elevator pitch, if you will. That's like really what we get to. I like to say we help entrepreneurs get what they want out of their business. I like to say I help entrepreneurs build better businesses, right? And you get to decide what that means.
Do you find that there's one common problem that the most people have that you've been, finding?
I think accountability is like the root of everything.
Accountability is a hard one.
Accountability is hard because people don't necessarily know what they're supposed to be accountable for. They don't know how to drive accountability deeper into their organization, right? I always like to say, if you're holding somebody accountable for something, that means they fucked up. Sorry.
Oh,
It's all right. We'll beep it out.
beep it out.
Okay.
That
We'll
means
bleep
they
out.
screwed up.
Give us some mark on the camera so we can tell everybody.
All right, good. The little slip
Take
up.
you
Did we
outside
have,
and kick you.
gag reel or
Kick you
whatever?
guys out.
But really, like at the end of the day, like if you're holding somebody accountable for something, it means that they didn't do it the right way.
Right.
So accountability, actually, there's a mathematical formula that we talk about where we say leadership plus management equals accountability. You want to build an accountable culture, you need to lead people well, right? Show them where to go, set great expectations.
I love that.
You need to manage them well, help them get to that place, right?
Adam, say that one more time. Every business owner should hear this.
Leadership plus management equals accountability. You want to see accountability as an end result, right? You don't want to hold anyone accountable ever. You want your people to get stuff done.
Let me ask you a question. So I have a business, and I'm listening to the show, and I can't get over this hump.
Yeah.
I reach out to you. First of all, you got to tell us how to get in contact with you.
Sure.
We'll go over that.
Yeah.
But will you come in and sit down and give me a free consultation? I'm going to call it. We can get to know each other, make sure it's a fit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'll do that plenty of times, right? Sometimes it's a couple rounds even, because at the end of the day, for a company to take this journey, whatever they're going to go out and make an investment in paying me is nothing. The real investment that they're going to ultimately make is, can we run on this system? Can we use these tools on a day-to-day business?
Right.
Will we hold ourselves accountable, so to speak, to do those things, right? And apply it on the day-to-day. And if their head's not in that place yet, it's not going to work. So they need to be very clear about, yes, EOS is right for us. We're ready to make this investment. And there's about 800 other people in the world that do this besides me.
Sure.
We get along really, really well, but there are some people that maybe don't like who I bring to the table.
I can't imagine
They want
that.
somebody.
I can't imagine that.
There's black and white. There's people who want, I want somebody by the book who's going to sit there, maybe a little drier. Maybe they don't like the dirty jokes, the irreverence, and those type of things.
Sure.
That's okay.
Right.
No, it's got to fit there.
I don't need to work with everybody. I have a lot of friends who I am more than glad to introduce them to.
And if you're just tuning in to B2B with Randy and Craig on WBAB 102.3, we are sitting right now with Adam Goldschmidt, the EOS implementer, the world-renowned Jewish man.
Yeah.
The world-renowned Jewish man. All right.
Sure. I'll take it.
Why not? I'll take it.
It's a title.
It's a title.
We get to define what world means.
Adam, how does someone get a hold of you?
I'm on LinkedIn. That's really where
Give us the website. The
LinkedIn.
phone
Well, my
number.
name is really hard to spell, so it's Adam Goldschmidt, GoldSchmiedt.
It's that secret E.
Yeah, that secret E before the D. But if you go to eosworldwide.com/Adam-Goldschmidt and you figure out how to spell it, maybe we could drop the link in the notes or something like that.
Absolutely will.
That's how you can get in touch with me. Honestly, text me. I'm fine with that. 516-697-9634. That's
Say it
probably
slower.
easier.
Say it a little slower.
516-697-9634.
So I
you.
can
Like you're
text, hey,
talking
my
in
name
some-
is Randy. I got a business. I'm a vet,
Absolutely.
and I got to. Heard you on the radio. I need you.
Yeah, and we were talking about what happens if a company wants to do this, right? And I was saying, hey, you have to be a fit. One of our core values as implementers is that it's called help first. And I will not take a penny from anybody unless I've shown them value and delivered value. So the very first session that we actually do with a client in our journey is completely free. There's no cost. I'm going to teach you about these tools. I'm going to go deep. You're going to learn my coaching style. You're going to learn about these tools. We're going to kind of get to know each other. I'm going to go deep, ask you a lot of questions about your business, see where the opportunities are so that when we come into this, we know exactly what we want to try to focus
there's
in
a
on.
lot of exploratory work that goes in before we implement anything.
Yeah, again, like we've just both got to feel right about it, right? Like, and not every client, just like I might not be right for every client. Not every client might be right for me.
Sure.
Right.
And
so
you
like,
said there's a multiple implementers. So there are times you could say, hey, Craig, you're a great guy. It's not a fit. I'm going to bring you to.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And we're all friends. We don't compete with each other. We help each other out.
That's awesome.
We send each other these types of things all the time.
So I gotta know, because we spoke a little bit, and I know that you travel here and there, right?
Yes.
So how, and you're also a family man.
Yes, I am.
So how do you juggle being an EOS implementer and a family man?
Very, very difficultly. When I said that, when I'm doing the work that I technically get paid to do, I'm not working. The stuff around that is the hard stuff, right? The biz dev, the going to networking events, putting yourself out there, talking, saying the same thing over and over again a lot to some of the same people, right? And yeah, we work to live. We don't live to work. And I have 4 kids, thankfully. I'm blessed. I have an amazing wife. We're married 21 years. My kids I have to give them a shout out, actually. Shout out to Isaac, 19, Annie, 16, Maya, 12, and Jack Clay Goldschmidt. He's my 7-year-old. He keeps our hands full.
What's going on, Goldschmidts?
That's right. But my kids are my life, and
nice.
I've always, if there's one thing that this business has done to a negative is that, it's put me on the road a little bit more over the last couple of years than I had been historically. I've always been at all my kids' games and things like that. And I still am at most of them.
Right.
But I've missed a few more than I'd want to over the last couple of years. But again,
You're building.
Right.
That's it. I'm in the building phase. They understand it, and I make up for it in other ways. Like that's, it's part of the sacrifice.
Do they have any interest in doing what you're doing?
That's an interesting question. I have no idea. I could see one of my kids. I'm not going to say which one because I don't want them to say. I could see one of them really, really being good at this. But at the same time, like my kids, you get me started on them. They're all one. They can do whatever the heck they want. All of them, every single one of them.
You know what? I'm going to tell you, sitting here, and we've interviewed so many people in so many wonderful trades, and we've learned so much from the people that have sat on that couch. The level of passion you have every time we talk about getting into a business is unbelievable. And I think that would be so exciting as a business owner to have someone walk into your business with the same passion that you have. And they're going to help you get to that next level. So that's got to be so important to what you do. And by the way, look what I wore just because you were coming on the show. Look at this. Look at my socks.
Oh, no.
Look at that. Can
You
you
got
read
it.
that?
Oh, wow. What's that smell?
Billionaire. Oh, nice. There you go.
It's not a smell. Come on. By the way, what do they say? Billionaire in progress.
Billionaire.
I actually have matching underwear on.
Well, we don't want to see it. Thank you. This is a family show. So let me ask. First thing a business needs to realize, they need to look at themselves in the mirror and say, hey, we're kind of stuck in the mud.
That's right. Hitting a ceiling, I like to say.
I'm hitting a ceiling, even better. I'm hitting a ceiling and we shouldn't be. We have an amazing product. We have an amazing team. What do I got to do to get out of this mess I'm in? I'm going to call it, I guess. That's when someone reaches out to you.
That's it. And they know the answers. They know the things that they need to do. It's just a matter of getting really, really clear about it and putting it into the right context, to the right framework, right? We always like look big picture, right? Like what's the number one business objective 5, 10, 30 years out? Like we're going to be operating our business on Mars type of stuff, right? Like those big, hairy, audacious goals.
Sure.
And then you work it back. Okay, so if that's actually going to happen, right? Like if I'm going to be coaching EOS on Mars in 10 years from now,
About how to get there.
Where do I need to be 3 years from now to consider myself on track? Maybe that never happens, but if I am going to be doing it, where do I have to be? And then where do I need to be at the end of this year? Then where I need to be at the end of this quarter? And then break it down into like, what do I need to do this week?
Wow.
Like what are my measurables, my like my dashboard? What are the big metrics that I know if like I'm hitting these numbers consistently, we're doing great. Like I could go on vacation, I could sit, I could relax, I don't have to check on anything. That's the beauty.
So a goal would be, I'm asking, is that the business owner is not in the business, he's on the business.
That's for many.
He or she is handing their team responsibility.
Correct.
How long is usually the relationship with you? Are you coming, is it a 2-year relationship, 1 year, or is it
Got right on the first guess. Look at that. The process, the relationship can go as long as the client ultimately wants it to go. There are clients who start this process and after 1 or 2 sessions, they're like, you know what? This isn't for us. We're not doing the work, or we're not so into Adam. Maybe, I don't know. That
I doubt that, but I know.
But no, like sometimes they realize, hey, we wanted to try this out, but we're just not going to be doing it. And they have that right to make that decision.
And I bet you they call you back in 6-7 months and go, we made a mistake. We're looking at it. We should have had you. We're back in the same spot.
Not exactly, not always, but again, like maybe. Right. I haven't been doing this long enough to see some of those things happen yet. Right. But, I've been doing it longer than 6 months.
Sure.
But, my experience tells me that if it's not right for them, it's probably not right for them if they've brought me in at the right time. But yeah, there are people that, come back, with time and like, oh yeah, like let's go now.
Right.
I have the right people in place and things like that. So there's that, and so that's the they can end it whenever they want.
Right.
My
But
goal
typically, what is it?
Yeah. So my goal is to get them what I call graduation ready in 2 years.
2
Right.
years.
So if we go through our process, we do our sessions. We really only meet every 90 days. And it's 1 day, full day, 9 to 5. Which a lot of people are like, how am I going to sit through an 8-hour meeting? That's my job to make that enjoyable, to make it be like, whoa, that just flew by.
And look how fast this is going. You can
Yeah.
imagine
time
spending
is
8
that?
hours with them.
I was actually planning.
It's unbelievable.
And literally like the day one, when you sit there for that first 8-hour session, like when you nail it and everybody really did their work the right way, 10 out of 10 people say like, I can't believe I've been here all day.
Right.
Right. But they get stopped whenever they want. That saying that. So I want to go through my process with them for about 2 years. That gives us an opportunity to really grow at their pace, bring it deeper into the organization with time, because you don't want to bring it to everybody too quick.
Right.
Because you got to solidify that leadership team first. And that's who I work with. I work with the leadership team. Get
And
that
the leadership team
strong.
brings the message down to the.
That's it, trickle down, right? Like bring it down. The leadership teams to their teams, to their teams. The leadership team runs their meetings. They run their meetings. Everything goes up and down with communication.
Now, did you ever, in the time that you've been doing this, feel like, oh, maybe I should just pack it up? Maybe this isn't right for me. And,
Yes.
and if so,
Yes.
how did you get over said hurdle?
I never really
He got his mortgage bill. And said, you know what? I'm going to get back into it.
By the way, I got 4 kids in yeshiva, so like, that's way worse. Yeah, in the beginning it was really hard. I made this decision, summer of 2022 is when I was really deliberating it. October 1st of 2022, I told my previous employers, I'm out of here at the end of the year. I gave them 3 months notice to wind things down. They didn't believe me. They thought I was going to change my mind.
Course.
And again, I actually owe everything to them, to Eddie and Alex, like at Net at Work, because they're the ones that introduced me to EOS.
That's
and
great.
They gave me the opportunity to apply it to my business and realize that I have this gift. So I'm tremendously grateful to that. We wound that down, and January 1st, 2023, I was all in. I didn't want to do this like as a
you want to
part-time
be
thing.
in.
This is what I wanted to do. I went to boot camp. There's a process to become certified as an implementer. I did boot camp, and boot camp, they broke me. Like that's the design, right? I come in thinking, I've been running on this system. I followed my friend Svi around for about a month and a half, sat in on his session. So I have all this like knowledge, right? And I know how to teach it, but then they you have to do what we call that 90-minute meeting, and you have to do it by heart. And I'm like, I just forgot everything.
Right.
I was practicing for months. I'm like, I'm going to be the most prepared. That's how I prepare. Like, that's what I do. And it just all left my brain. And I was like, holy crap. I called my wife saying like, what did we do? Like,
So the training was super important.
super important.
Super important. So once again, before we wrap up, how does a business owner get a hold of you?
EOSworldwide.com/Adam-Goldschmidt.
Give them their phone number.
516-697-9634.
And that's a text or a call?
Yeah, or just drop a line to the show and they'll put you in touch.
Oh, yeah,
There you go.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So first and foremost, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
And what I love, our whole show is about the entrepreneurial journey. And I love an entrepreneur giving other entrepreneurs a journey so their journey is successful.
Absolutely.
Great having you on.
Amazing.
Appreciate it. Take us out.
So from B2B with Randy and Craig, that's a wrap.
Thank you for tuning in to B2B with Randy and Craig. Looking forward to hanging with you next week.